You know, in the last couple of months, I checked a lot of different headphones. I wanted to replace the headphones that I had. Every headphone that I had before, I wasn't fully satisfied with. Now, when I use VR, I usually use, by that I mean the Meta Quest 3 headset, and of course, before the Quest 2, I use the built-in speakers, basically. The reason for that, again, they're optimized for these experiences, providing 3D spatial audio. It sounds quite natural, considering that it's not totally enclosed. They have kind of a more neutral profile, which I personally liked. And although the bass has been improved with the Quest 3, it's still not there when it comes to, well, what I want to play certain games. But this is definitely an improvement over the Quest 2, and of course, in terms of volume, you can get even louder volume, 40% louder compared to the Quest 2. So you might probably ask, do you actually need external headphones to enjoy VR more in terms of audio experience? Well, I thought about that. First of all, when I'm talking about headphones, I switched not too long time ago to open back headphones. Since then, I just can't go back. Main reason for that, because sounds sound so natural to me rather than coming from, when you put kind of shells on your ears, everything kind of sound like kind of metallic and not natural. Same with closed back headphones. Well, to some degree. It sounds metallic and not natural, and even though I get very good bass, I couldn't really bear it anymore after I tried open back headphones. Now, the speakers of the Quest 3, which are those integrated into the head strap and sit away from your ears, off your design, these are open air design. It has different pros and cons. First of all, it allows for some situational awareness of your physical surrounding and avoids pressure on your ears, making it comfortable for longer sessions. However, sound leakage can be, of course, an issue sometimes, meaning that people around you can hear you where you are, what you are listening to, which might be a concern for privacy or in a shared environment. It also means that there's less isolation from real-world noise compared to closed-back headphones. Now, they also designed it pretty well because they're supposed to be like that if you want to give the user opportunity to use headphones, because otherwise, if it really covers your ears and there's no option to actually remove it, how you can actually use headphones with it. And by the way, when you are buying headphones, you need to consider also there's the part that you put on your head, so you need extra arc extension to be able to use it and comfortably. So I would say that even now, after doing some comparisons, I would say that the Quest 3 is good enough for most users. But it didn't take me a while, of course, to try it out with some other headphones. First of all, my first kind of open back, the KSC75, the COS, and then of course other open back headphone that I had, and the one that I bought a few days ago, the Sennheiser HD550. Now, trying my new headphones with different games, and also, by the way, what you see here, this is Audiophile by Google. It was released back then in 2017, but it does feature it uses the Google Resonance Audio SDK, which is an open source spatial audio SDK designed to create immersive sound experiences, particularly for virtual reality and augmented reality, gaming, and also, by the way, 360-degree videos as well. And it simulates how sound interacts with human ears and the environment to provide a highly realistic audio experience. You can basically define the room size, define the wall materials and other properties, and basically can try to mimic something that will sound more realistic to what you can expect in the real life. It simulates how sound waves interact with human ears using head-related transfer function, maybe you heard about it as HRTFs, in the environment, including direct sound, early reflections, and late reverberation. It also supports occlusion, so if you're hiding, for example, behind a wall, you hear a sound coming behind the wall, you're going to hear it like it was actually occluded to some degree. And of course, when using VR, it's response to head movement, so ensuring that virtual sounds maintain their position relatively to the users in the 3D space, which again is vital for maintaining immersion in VR and AR experiences. And also realize that nothing is better to test the imaging of headphones by using virtual reality, because then you are there in the world. So it's much easier to get a better representation of where you can expect the sound to be located when you're actually there in the real world and you see where the sound should be coming from. Now, in the past, I used my previous open back headphones, but now with the Sennheiser HD550, I was just blown away with the quality. First of all, it has a really good bass extension, so I can get a higher bass from it. The thing is that if you're connecting it directly to the headset, to the Quest 3, you don't really have degree of control over the bass. However, here I actually was using a PC VR app, and when you're using PC VR app, my headphones actually are connected to an external amplifier DAC, and of course you can use other things to improve it, like an equalizer in your Windows to actually increase the bass and kind of tuning up a bit to your liking. So this is separately, of course, for PC VR, but this by itself also give you an advantage when you want to, for example, play a game of shooter with lots of explosions. You really want to enjoy the bass and sub bass. Now, also went further to just understand whether it's actually really that essential. It can lead to big difference. So even went to Unreal Engine 5 and play around with different audio objects and play it around a character to see, when the sound is coming from. And even more, I went to AI and to create, I also code a bit because I know how to code. And together I created this headphone imaging test where you can actually just drag the sound object, and what you see in the yellow is basically my location, and I can choose the distance. I can choose also to increase the verticality and play around and see how accurate my headphones are. Again, this is of course done on PC, right, not in VR, and check the accuracy, the imaging and the location accuracy of the object when I'm actually rotating it around my character, around my head. And by the way, you should, experience the same thing more or less, because again, depends on the headphone. What I experienced, because again, you can just use any stereo headphones and you can see the difference of the location. This also uses resonance audio, the one by Google.
Slip through the grasp of time, reminding us of the quiet urgency to preserve them before they fade into silence. Let's not forget. Memories, fleeting as morning mist, slip through the grasp of time, reminding us of the
Anyway, I checked lots of things, also verticality accuracy, when you hear something above you or below you. And also notice that when you see things that actually represent something alongside the voice, it actually fills in something that maybe without the visual representation, you might not really understand completely where the sound is coming from. But when you have the visual representation of where you expect the object to sound, based of course on the sound and the object itself, it kind of fills in the gap and create a more accurate representation of the sound in the 3D space, in the virtual 3D space. So I did many testing, and eventually I came to a conclusion that indeed headphones do make a difference in VR apps, VR games. Of course, it also depends on which audio technology the game also used. There are different ways. Also in Unreal Engine can change different things and choose different technologies. If even panning, which is an older one, which doesn't give me very good results. So it also depends both on what developers are using in the game, which technologies, but it also depends on the gear that you're actually using, in this case, the headphones. Now, the difference was very substantial, especially where there are lots of sounds, sound effects at the same time, especially it's also with music, where separation was very, very important. Otherwise, it just feels, well, a bit noisy. Kind of a messy sound, not to a high degree, yeah, but it was a big difference when I listened to with my headphones, specifically the Sennheiser HD 550 and the built-in speakers of the Quest 3. So for me, where applicable, I would definitely use headphones. Of course, it depends, right? Not any headphone, open back headphone, for example, will give you that good result. It depends. I had not that great one before. Now I have much better ones. But the thing is that the Quest 3 speaker, I can change it, right? So if I want to improve the audio experience, and now I know that I can actually get something that is quite significant, I would definitely consider in everything that I play to use my headphones rather than the built-in speakers. I would say that in terms of accuracy, the Quest 3 does an excellent job. Really, I have no complaints there. So I would say the main advantages is enjoying certain frequencies that you won't even get with the Quest 3, like, sub bass, for example, that especially with PC games, I can actually play with the equalizer and get really deep bass. Also because of the bigger driver on the external headphones. Again, depends of course, but it's going to be larger. You're going to get better audio fidelity because dedicated headphones generally have larger drivers, better frequency response, and more refined sound profiles. So that leads to richer bass, clearer mids, and more detailed highs. This is crucial for music-heavy games like Big Saber, for example, and other games where there are lots of sounds going on, effects, and really got good separation, high-quality sound, and hear those frequencies to get the best experience, especially music-based ones, but again, this is just one example. So the conclusion is, give it a try. If you want to try with something very cheap and simple, try the COS KSC 75, very cheap headphones. You can buy I think for $20 or even less, but the sound profile neutral and very, very nice. And I personally, that's the reason that I actually made a switch to open back in the first place, because I got to experience something new. So if you don't want to invest now, want something cheap, give those a try and see if you like them. If so, give other open back headphones a try. I'm sure you're going to discover that it will significantly enhance some of your VR experiences and games. Thanks for watching.
Traveling long distances, connect all the power plugs in the right order to bring these sounds to life.